Alex Eala drops from a career-high number 29 to number 45 sa WTA rankings. But the Pinay tennis star is looking to bounce back as
She fell from number 29 to number 46. But Alex Eala's most dangerous chapter is just getting started. Let's get one thing absolutely straight before we say another word. The girl they're counting out right now? She was a wildcard qualifier just 12 months ago.
Bumaba si Alex Eala sa world rankings ng WTA. Bakit nga ba? Ako si Delphine Diokino, sports reporter, i-explain ko sa inyo.
12 months ago, she was sneaking into a WTA 1000 tournament through the back door with barely anyone in the global tennis community even knowing her name. And then, in what can only be described as one of the most breathtaking, jaw-dropping, nation-stopping runs in the entire history of Philippine sports, Alexandra Eala did the unthinkable. She tore through Grand Slam champions. She made the entire world of professional tennis stop mid-sentence and say, "Wait, who is this girl?" And she became the first Filipina in history to reach the semifinals of a WTA 1000 tournament.
This might be the scariest return in tennis right now. This is Alexandra Eala. What makes her return so deadly? First, she reads the serve early. Next, she takes the...
Let that land. The first Filipina ever. And now, because the ranking algorithms spit out a new number last Monday, people want to act like the story is over? Champions Tennisitics, we are just getting warmed up. Here is exactly what happened, and we are going to break it all the way down. After a season-defining stretch that had all of the Philippines screaming from the rooftops, Alex Eala reached a career-high ranking of world number 29 on March 16, 2026. Number 29 in the entire world. For a 20-year-old girl from Manila who learned the game at the Rafa Nadal Academy in Mallorca, that is not just a statistic. That is a seismic moment in the history of Asian tennis. She got there by going on an absolute warpath through the Indian Wells Open, commonly known as the 5th Grand Slam, bulldozing her way into the round of 16 and stacking up enough points to vault herself inside the top 30 for the very first time. The Philippines had a heartbeat moment. Fans were flooding social media with pride. The national conversation was electric. Alex Eala had arrived, officially, undeniably, magnificently. Then came Miami. And this is where the story gets complicated, because Miami was always going to be the trickiest tournament on Alex Eala's entire 2026 calendar. And here is why the people criticizing her ranking drop are either deeply uninformed or simply do not understand how professional tennis mathematics actually works.
29, naging top 45 ang Women Tennis Association ranking ni Pinay tennis star Alex Eala. 1,255 points ang kasalukuyang hawak ni Alex Eala kasama na rin.
When Eala arrived at the Miami Open this year, she wasn't just playing to win, she was playing to defend. Last year, she ran through that tournament like a hurricane with no name, beating Grand Slam champions Iga Swiatek, Yelena Ostapenko, and Madison Keys in succession, all as a wildcard qualifier with a ranking of 140 in the world. That historic semifinal run earned her 390 ranking points, the biggest single harvest of her entire career at that time. When the 2026 Miami Open began, those 390 points were sitting there on the clock, ticking down, waiting to expire the moment the tournament concluded, regardless of how she performed. Now here is where it gets brutal. The WTA ranking system doesn't care about your story. It doesn't care about the struggle. It doesn't care that you are 20 years old playing against women who have been professionals since before you were finishing high school. It only cares about the numbers. And when Eala fell to Czech Republic's Karolina Machova in the round of 16, losing in commanding fashion, 6-0, 6-2, a performance she would be the first to tell you was not her best tennis. She collected only 120 points from this year's run. Subtract 120 from the 390 she needed to defend, and you are left with a deficit of 270 points. Gone. Just like that. The biggest single ranking points drop of any player in that entire weekly update. From number 29 to number 45 in one brutal Monday morning update. And as of this very weekend, she has slipped one more notch, now sitting at world number 46, after American Peyton Stearns picked up points at the Charleston Open and edged past her in the live rankings without Eala even taking the court. Let the critics roar. Let the keyboard warriors type their little fingers raw. Because here is the reality that every single person running their mouth about Alex Eala's so-called decline is completely ignoring. She has 0 ranking points to defend for the rest of her 2026 season. Read that back. 0. Every tournament she steps into from this moment forward is a clean slate. A blank canvas. Pure opportunity with no points sitting on a clock waiting to detonate. That changes everything. That flips the entire script. While everyone else on tour is calculating what they need to defend, what they need to protect, what they can afford to lose, Alex Eala is walking into every single remaining tournament this season like she has absolutely nothing to lose and everything to gain. That is not a weakness. That is a weapon. And the stage for her comeback begins tomorrow. Tomorrow, April 6th, the curtain rises on the Upper Austria Ladies Linz Open, a WTA 500 tournament played on indoor clay courts at the Design Center Linz in Austria. This is Alex Eala's clay season debut. Her first competitive match on clay since she exited Roland Garros in the first round last year. Last season, her clay campaign was honestly forgettable. A round of 16 exit at Oeiras, a round of 64 in Madrid, a first-round exit in Rome, a first-round exit in Paris. If you look at those results on paper, you might think clay is a problem for her. But here is what you are forgetting. That was a completely different Alex Eala. That was an Eala still figuring out where her game fit on the WTA circuit. That was an Eala with a ranking that meant she was constantly walking into the lion's den against far more experienced opponents with nothing but raw talent and a dream to carry her through. The 2026 version of Alex Eala has already beaten top 10 players, reached the final 16 of back-to-back WTA 1000 events, climbed to a career-high ranking, and proved to everyone watching that she belongs not just in the conversation, but at the very top of it. The Linz field is stacked, make no mistake. With world number 10 Mira Andreeva stepping in as a late addition. She headlines a draw that also features defending champion Ekaterina Alexandrova, Clara Tauson, Ludmila Samsonova, Yelena Ostapenko, Sorana Cîrstea, Barbara Krejcikova, and Katie Boulter. Past Linz champions include names like Coco Gauff, Aryna Sabalenka, and Yelena Ostapenko herself. This tournament has a pedigree. And Eala, who was denied seeding because her ranking dipped below the threshold, goes in as an unseeded wildcard in terms of the draw structure, which means she could be facing a seeded player in round 1. Sound familiar? A Filipino girl walking into a prestigious tournament as the underdog against players ranked far above her, with the whole world watching? We have seen this movie before. We know how it ends. We know that is precisely when Alex Eala is at her most dangerous. Here is what makes this clay season so critical from a ranking perspective and champions Tennisitics. You need to pay attention to these numbers because they paint a picture that should have every Eala fan absolutely buzzing with excitement. A semifinal finish in Linz alone would give her 195 ranking points, which would likely be enough to push her back inside the top 30. A runner-up finish delivers 325 points and could catapult her to a new career best of around number 26. And if she wins the whole tournament, 500 points. 500 clean, fresh, undefended points that would rocket her to approximately world number 23. Number 23. Think about that. The critics spent a week celebrating a ranking drop, and Alex Eala is standing on the doorstep of potentially setting a new career high before the month is even over. That is what happens when you have 0 points to defend. Every match you win is pure profit. And after Linz, there is no rest. She immediately pivots to the Porsche Tennis Grand Prix in Stuttgart, Germany, another WTA 500 event running April 13th through 19th, where Aryna Sabalenka, Elena Rybakina, Iga Swiatek, Coco Gauff, Jasmine Paolini, and Mira Andreeva are all expected to compete. That is arguably the deepest WTA 500 field you will see all year. Then comes the crown jewel of the clay season build-up, the Mutua Madrid Open, a WTA 1000 tournament running April 21st through May 3rd, where Eala has a personal score to settle after losing in the opening round to Swiatek last year. All of it building, step by step, tournament by tournament, toward Roland Garros and the French Open, the clay Grand Slam itself, scheduled from May 24th through June 7th. This girl's next 8 weeks are a masterclass in high-stakes professional tennis, and she is walking into all of it with a clean slate and a point to prove. What makes this comeback story so compelling? What separates it from any other young player navigating a difficult stretch is the sheer weight of what Alex Eala carries every single time she sets foot on a tennis court. She is not just playing for herself. She is not just playing for a ranking number or a prize check. She is playing for an entire nation of 110 million people who have watched her career unfold like a slow-motion miracle. She is playing for every little girl in the Philippines who picked up a racket and dared to dream about playing on the biggest stages in the world. When she won her first main draw Grand Slam match at the US Open last year, becoming the first Filipino to do so in the Open era, it was not just a personal milestone. It was a cultural earthquake, and the magnitude of that moment has not diminished by a single decimal point just because the ranking algorithm shuffled her down a few positions after a tough tournament. The girl who told a WTA interviewer after playing the longest match of her career in Miami this year, 3 hours and 20 minutes against Siegmund, that everything she does is to prepare herself for stronger opponents is not a player whose fire is fading. She said it plainly, she is still getting stronger, still adding layers to her game, still building the physical and mental foundation of what is going to be a long, historically significant career. She is 20 years old, turning 21 in May. Most players at 20 are still fighting for tour cards and dreaming about breaking into the top 100. Alex Eala is ranked 46th in the world with a career high of 29, has beaten multiple top 10 players, and is about to embark on her first full clay season as a legitimate, established WTA force. The ceiling is not a ceiling at all. It is an open sky. And let's talk for a second about the personal victory buried inside the Miami run that the ranking narrative completely overshadowed. The 2026 Miami Open was a homecoming of a different kind for Eala. It was her return to the scene of the crime, the tournament where everything exploded for her just 12 months earlier. She spoke about navigating fame with a maturity that left reporters visibly impressed. A full stadium of fans watching her every move. The pressure of expectations that did not exist a year ago. She said the atmosphere was completely different when there is a full stadium, that you learn to really enjoy it once you get past the initial shock of realizing how much people care. That kind of self-awareness, that kind of psychological composure in the face of completely new pressures, is not the trait of a player who is cracking under the weight of success. It is the trait of a champion in the process of being made. One more thing deserves to be said, and it speaks to the full texture of who Alex Eala is as a person beyond the baseline. Before the clay season began, she took a brief break with her family in observance of Holy Week, the Lenten season that holds deep cultural and spiritual significance in the Philippines. She celebrated her mother Riz's birthday. She recharged. She remembered who she is and where she comes from. And then she flew to Mallorca to train at the Rafa Nadal Academy, the place that has been her home away from home since she was 13 years old, to sharpen her game for the clay courts. That is not a player running from the pressure. That is a player who knows exactly how to carry it and still find the ground beneath her feet. So here is where we land. Champions Tennisitics. The ranking says 46. The critics say she is falling. The algorithm says she lost 270 points. But the truth, the real, undeniable, soul-shaking truth, is that Alex Eala is about to walk onto an indoor clay court in Austria tomorrow with 0 points to defend. A game that is sharper than it has ever been. A hunger that a ranking number cannot measure. And a date with destiny that is about to make every single person who wrote her off wish they had stayed very, very quiet. The comeback does not start next month. It does not start next week. It starts tomorrow. And the Philippines better be ready, because this story is far from over. In fact, the most thrilling chapter has not even been written yet. If you are riding with Alex Eala through every high and every low of this unbelievable journey, drop a massive queen in the comments right now and let the whole Champions Tennisitics community know where you stand. Are you ready to watch her tear through Linz, Stuttgart, and Madrid and come out the other side ready for Roland Garros? Because we absolutely are. Smash that like button, subscribe to Champions Tennisitics for the most passionate, most detailed tennis coverage anywhere on YouTube, and ring that notification bell so you never miss a single match update, ranking breakdown, or breaking story. We will be here for every moment of the comeback. See you on the clay.
Alexandra Eala drops from a career high number 29 to number 45 sa WTA rankings. But the Pinay tennis star is looking to bounce back.
This might be the scariest return in tennis right now. This is Alexandra Eala. What makes her return so deadly? First, she reads the serve early. Next, she takes the...
Bumaba si Alex Eala sa world rankings ng WTA. Bakit nga ba? Ako si Delfin Diokino, sports reporter, i-explain ko sa inyo.